Okay, back again. So it's different today. I'm going to do a little tour of my gaming area. And I'm sort of crammed in a corner of the garage here. I've sort of put everything on top of each other because I haven't got a lot of room in this corner. But you don't want to see the rest of the garage. Looks like a flipping nuclear bomb's gone off over there. So we'll keep the camera pointing this way. Yeah, I thought I'd show sort of I've got a few home computers. The consoles are obviously got. I thought I'd throw in some of the games, and there's a bit of gaming footage in there as well. Some of my favourite games. You probably know most of them, but it might be the odd one you sort of see and think, oh yeah, I might check that out, or I've not heard of that. And another thing, so I got this in the post. Now, I sort of backed the Rubber Key Wonder, as anybody who's watched the videos knows, and when I initially sort of backed it, I opted to have this poster as well, and I've put it in a frame, and I'm really, really pleased with it. Obviously, you see the spectrum there, nice bit of artwork. My wife sort of said the sort of character in there looks a bit like David Bowie, and I think, in a way, that's sort of apt, because, you know, in this sort of early 80s, David Bowie's sort of like science fiction type character in a way, really, and he sort of suits a picture like that. So yeah, I'm really pleased. One more thing, I've got to thank somebody out there. I took inspiration to make this video from watching a YouTube video early this morning. There's a guy out there who's got a channel called Stu's Retro Reviews. Nice channel. He has all his retro stuff in his shed, and he puts out his videos and makes his videos from his shed. You know, really nice channel. Check it out. I'm going to put the link below. But anyway, let's crack on. Let's have a look at the stuff in my retro game.
Right, like I said, I put the light on because it doesn't look as retro-y, obviously, a neon lighty. But, you know, I wanted you to see what was on the wall. But this is my ZX Spectrum little area, and I've also got 2 DVDs up there made by Gracious Films. Bedroom to Billions, which is a brilliant DVD all about the history of home computing and the gaming market in the UK, right from the late 70s, right up to date, really. And then there's the Rubber Keyed Wonder, a lovely film all about the ZX Spectrum. That's why I put it on this wall. But as you can see, there's my little collection of ZX Spectrum. Not so little, it's sort of grown, but I'm not one to splash a load of money at once. I sort of spread over my collecting, really. And there's a couple of my real favourites. I'm going to show a little bit of footage of my very favourite games on the home computers or consoles. Maybe one or two for each one. But there's Jetpack there. Jetpack, back in the day, me and my friends, it really blew us away, Jetpack. And written for 16K as well. Absolutely fantastic. Sort of flying around, shooting aliens, picking up the fuel for your spaceship, and obviously you have to put your spaceship together. But that game, I remember putting a lot of time into that, and it's really playable even today. Fantastic game. Well, there you go. There's my Mastertronic collection. Anybody who knows me knows I've been collecting the Mastertronic games, and I've put plenty of videos out for those. So I'm probably going to do just 2 or 3 more of those videos, because I've done quite a few on that now. But yeah, there's my ZX Spectrum area. If you go down here, I've got a little CRT that's got a video player in. And there, look, the ZX Spectrum Plus 2. I picked that up quite recently, maybe about a year ago. And then there's the original over there, my ZX Spectrum, the Rubber Key Wonder itself, with a quick shot joystick. They were the best, really. I really enjoyed the quick shot joystick. I know there was many more out there, but that was my go-to back in the day for the Spectrum. Right, so just to the left of the ZX Spectrum stuff, I've got my display cabinet. Up there I've got a couple of those lamps. They don't have switches on, you just tap them and they light up. I've got a Zelda one there and a Super Mario World, and there's my Sinclair ZX Spectrum Deluxe set. I've done a video on that if anybody's interested. It's just a collector's item from Gracious Films again. A few bits and bobs in there to do with the ZX Spectrum, which is quite nice. And below that I've got a SNES. Now, as I say, I went down a PlayStation route, so I didn't get this till only a few years ago, and I was so glad I did for that game there, Super Mario World. Once I started playing that, I realised everybody is right. That Super Mario World, it's one of the best games ever made. Oh, the work it must have went into making that game. In fact, it's a really good YouTube documentary about the making of Super Mario World. I'm showing you some footage now, obviously you can see it, but almost a perfect game. The levels were just perfect, they were just right, the game progressed in difficulty. Just perfect. That's all I can say about Super Mario World. It's worth buying that SNES just to play that game. It's absolutely brilliant. I've got a few other games in there. Dread. It's a Star Trek game in there I quite like. A sort of Star Trek Starfleet Commander. It's a sort of strategy game, and I've got Donkey Kong Country and a few others behind there. But that's my SNES. And beneath that is my PS2. Manhunt. Everybody remembers all the stuff about Manhunt. Parents going crazy, saying Manhunt was turning their children into killers, which was quite funny, really, or weird, either way. And that's a game I quite like. It's a boss game, really. It's just one boss after another, Shadow of Colossus. I wanted to show some footage of that, but like happens every now and then, retro gamers, it wouldn't load. It just wouldn't read the discs. So I don't know whether I've got a bit of disc rot or something in there with that one, but it wouldn't play, which is disappointing. But yeah, I've got the PS4 remaster version of Shadow of Colossus as well, and it's a good game. Got a few more PS2 games over here. I'll show you a bit of footage of this one. It's Crazy Taxi here. I'm showing you the footage now. I thought that was a lovely game, really funny. You know, you pick up people in your taxi, as you can see, and you just bomb around town, half killing people, a little bit like Die Hard Trilogy, the car bit in that game where you just drive around and you just take taxis, take taxi fares around as quickly as you can. I thought that was a really funny game. But yeah, there's the PS2 collection. Another game I quite like there, Cold Winter. I think I found out about that one through Metal Jesus. But yeah, that's my PS2 collection there. Right, so below that on the display cabinet, I've got a Mega Drive. Now, a Mega Drive was another one where I missed out on. Obviously, as I say, I went down the Xbox and PlayStation route, really. So I picked up this Mega Drive a few years ago, and I've got a handful of games. And I must admit, this game here, that one blew me away. Comic Zone. Once I read about that game and saw a few YouTube videos on it, I really thought I wanted Comic Zone. As you can see, I'm showing you a bit of footage. I thought it was a really interesting game. The very idea that you moved your way through an actual comic and you sort of got the speech bubbles, you know, I play that every now and then. I just thought it's a really good game. There's Golden Axe. I always enjoy playing that game. Yeah, so that's my Mega Drive. And below that, we've got the old PlayStation 1. And as I say, you know, I sort of came out of gaming for a little while, but it was the PS1 that sort of got me back into gaming. I absolutely love the PS1. I'm a huge fan of the Resident Evil games. You can see the first 3 in there. I love Tomb Raider. You know, it sort of blew the other stuff out of the water, really. These old consoles, which I'll show you in a minute, when the PS1 came out, it was just almost like a frightening leap in technology and using sort of CD type discs for your games. There's a few more PS1 games here. Cooler World up there, and there I'm going to show you a bit of footage of Cooler World. It's a really interesting little game, quite collectible. I think I was really lucky. I found that in the local charity shop, would you believe it, for about £3, and I was really surprised to find out Cooler World was worth, you know, sort of 50 or 60 quid. But yeah, there's a little bit of footage of Cooler World because I just thought it was a really unusual game. I just enjoyed playing it. And there's a few of my PS1 games there, a few of the classics, Tekken 2. I thought that was a great game. And up there near the top, Die Hard Trilogy. Oh, I thought that was a brilliant game. Really good shoot 'em up. Different parts of the game. Absolutely fantastic. Right, now we move on to another one of my favourites, the Commodore 64. Next to my Spectrum, I wasn't into the war of the Spectrum and the Commodore 64. I had a friend with a Commodore 64 back in the day, and I absolutely loved it. Good graphics, and we all know the sound chip. It was fantastic listening to the music on the Commodore 64 back in the day. And there's one of my favourites, Rambo. You know what, I used to love the one-man army shoot-'em-up games. And the music to Rambo as well was absolutely brilliant. So showing you a bit of footage there. I know there are some really great games out there on the Commodore 64, but I was a fan of those one-man army games. So there's a bit of footage from Rambo. And also another one of my favourites, Commando. Similar sort of game, one-man army, and which was in the arcades, Commando. Music by Rob Hubbard. There's a bit of footage from that one as well. That was an absolute blast playing Commando. And I used to love playing that game. So I move over here, I've got an Amiga 600, which I'll mention in a minute. So there's some of the games I've got for the Commodore 64. If there's any sort of favourites in there, let me know. And just below, I've got some of the ones the tapes you used to get with the magazines there. And, you know, mostly you wouldn't get very good stuff, but occasionally every now and then you'd find a nice little game which came with a magazine. There's Kickoff 2 there as well. Very popular football game. And I've got a few more up here for the Commodore 64. Classic there, which is IK Plus. I used to love that game. Green Beret, another brilliant. I used to love the music of that as well. That was another sort of one-man army shoot 'em up. And also Who Dares Wins 2. You can tell I used to love those. But let's go over here, because obviously with the Commodore, got a Commodore Amiga 600. Now this is a very recent pickup in the last few weeks. Same thing, a guy at work, he was going to get rid of it. He was basically going to give it to a charity shop. He had a few issues, and I'm going to mention I got those issues sorted by a place called Mutant Caterpillar. I found out about them through a Spectrum group on Facebook, and I sent it off to be recapped and cleaned up, and they did a brilliant job. My Amiga 600 is working fantastically well now. Now the reason I picked up the Amiga 600, because back in the day I had an Amiga 500. I really loathed having to sell my Amiga 500. But back in the day, you know, if you wanted to buy something else, you had to sell what you already had. So I moved on my Amiga 500 for something else. But I'm really pleased to get this, because it plays, by all accounts, it plays most Amiga 500 games. So really pleased that I picked up an Amiga 600. And the reason I was pleased was for this game. I did a little video a week or so ago for the loading and the intro and the music for this game, Supremacy. This is a space strategy game where you sort of have to fight your way through space and take over planets, and there's an alien or a baddie taking over planets as well, and it comes to a clash of who's going to take their home planet or they're going to take your home planet. But I'm going to do a video on Supremacy at some stage, but that's why I was so happy to pick up that Amiga 600, because I can play that game. And also I've got a copy of Supremacy there for the Commodore 64. So yeah, there's the Commodore 64 stuff and the Amiga. Okay, to the right of my Commodore 64 is my PS3. Now, I bought my PS3 about maybe 6 months, a year after it initially came out. And I was really quite impressed with the PS3. I know a lot of people, you know, sort of didn't think it was that special. And I have read that obviously a lot of programmers, they did find it difficult to program for the PS3. But, you know, in the end, they still managed some great games. That's a good game up there. Brutal Legend. That's a really funny game. You know, you play as a guitarist moving around this crazy world. It's got, you know, some fantastic original heavy metal music in it. You know, Motorhead or Iron Maiden. I can't remember exactly which ones, but it's a really, really fun game. And there is my favourite game of all time, the remaster of the original Resident Evil. Now, I'm a big Resident Evil fan. I know they messed up on some of the sort of follow-on games. Not messed up, but, you know, some of them weren't as good. But this game, I'm showing you some footage now. It's absolutely brilliant what they did with this game. It looked beautiful, so playable again, and they just did a fantastic job. This is my favourite game. I absolutely love that game. And there's also another one of my favourites. Now, that game up there, I'm not massively into driving games, but you see up there, Burnout Paradise. Now I'm going to show you footage from the PS4 version because I haven't had my PS3 set up. It takes a lot of effort for me to get that set up, so I'm going to show you some PS4 footage. But me and my son, we absolutely loved playing Burnout Paradise. There's a little bit of footage. It was just one of those racing games. It wasn't like one of these games where you had to really play for hours, improve your car, be really good at racing. It was just a great racing game, and there was road rage inside where you just smashed up other cars, as you can see in the footage. Oh, me and my son, we just love playing that game, you know. So there's my PS3 collection, you know. Let me know if any of those games
next
are
to
your
my
favourite.
PS3 is my Xbox 360. Going to start off with this game. I'm going to show a bit of footage of this because I thought this was a really funny game. Basically, it's a game that takes the mick out of all these sort of action films, the Arnie and Stallone films of the 80s. Lots of funny one-liners and sort of action-packed, shoot-'em-up fights. Eat lead. It's a really good game. I think I heard about it from Metal Jesus. Got a few other classics there. Alan Wake. I've not got Alan Wake 2 or played it. The Reckoning, Condemned 2. But yeah, Left 4 Dead. And there's Bioshocks. They were classic games. And also Half-Life 2 there. Yeah, you know what? I enjoy playing the Xbox 360. Pretty good console.
Right, we move over to this side of the room, and yeah, there's a handheld, sort of recently released, I'd say in the last sort of couple of years, Evercade EXP. Came with some built-in Capcom games, so I was really tempted by that. I think I got it for Christmas. Just the fact I could play Ghouls and Ghosts and on a handheld was really great. And obviously there's a Codemasters cartridge you can see there. They did a lot of the old games, but yeah, I really do like the EXP Evercade. It's a good handheld. Obviously there's many cartridges that have come out now, so I would dare say I'll be picking up a few of those in the future. And I just noticed over here, I missed when I was talking about the Xbox, a few more Xbox original games there. Half-Life 2, a classic, and Warriors also. I watched Warriors, the film, the other day, and you know, it's a little bit cheesy now, but it's still a classic. But on to the old PS4 collection. Now, I have to say, I'm a big lover of the PS4. I thought it's a wonderful console. I think in years to come, people will look back at the PS4 and think that was really one of the top consoles. So many variants of games, so many games as well, really good games. I've obviously got my Resident Evil games there. You know, I don't really do many Resident Evil videos because obviously there's so much stuff out there in Resident Evil. But Resident Evil 7 there is one of my favourites of the more recent ones. I thought that was back to the sort of horror-based game which the originals were. So I really do like that game. But yeah, Deus Ex as well. Obviously, I really like that game. Real stealth game. I'm not always the best at stealth games, but I like Deus Ex a lot. So yeah, that's me PS4 collection. And I do find myself playing the PS4 quite a lot. Oh, and there's my cat. Right, and there's my Amiga PS5 collection. We have some more games digitally downloaded. And my son, he has no problem sort of digitally downloading games, but I'm a bit old school me. I still like physical copy, but it's obviously going down the digital road. But that's for another video, and many people have done videos. But I wanted to talk about this one, Terminator Resistance. I thought this was a really good game. It's a PS4 game as well.
But it's what Terminator 3, the film, should have been for me. It was set in the future after the nuclear war. You're a resistant soldier and you're still fighting the Terminators. The Terminators are sort of roaming around trying to kill off what's left of humanity, and it's got a good story. That's what I really liked about it, and it's great fun avoiding the Terminators. And you know what? First sort of 50-60% of the game is very tough, and as it should be. Terminators are fairly indestructible. So there, if you're a fan of the first two Terminator films, I really recommend that game. And this game I really wanted to talk about, Under the Waves. I thought this was excellent. It's a sort of chilled out game to a point, but it's got quite a sort of darkish story. I'm not going to give it away. You're a guy called Stanley and you're a deep sea diver working for an oil company, Unitrench. So it's a very much a game of solitude. You've got a relationship with your fractured relationship, if you like, with your wife, who you communicate via computer from your base under the sea. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say. It involves grief and it's got, elements of the film The Abyss. So definitely worth checking out. Put a little bit of footage there for you to see. But yeah, Under the Waves. I thought that was a great game. Right, and last of all, I've got a few extra bits that are not games, but this is one of my precious favourite things. It's the Resident Evil soundscapes and music on vinyl. There's 3 albums in there, and I was really happy to pick that up. As I say, I don't spend vast amounts of money. I'm a bit stingy, me. I look for things cheaper and on eBay, and if I can't get them for a reasonable price, I don't bother. But I really, really wanted that, and it's one of my precious things. I absolutely love it. And next to it is a nice book. I think I found out about this book through Metal Jesus. It's The Art of Atari. That's a really nice book. And this book beneath it, this book by Supercade, A Visual History of the Video Game Age. If you can get your hands on that, it's quite dear. I think I waited till I think it's Forbidden Planet. They had a sale and I picked that up about sort of 25% cheaper. I think it was about £25. But that is a superb book. So if you can get your hands on that, take a look. But there you go. A few books, my Resident Evil vinyl, and that's basically my retro gaming area.
It's my little place of solace. That's, as anybody knows who's seen my videos, I'm a lorry driver sometimes, and I've been road rage. I don't do any road rage, me, of course, but I've been road raged, and I'm a bit stressed coming and sort of play some games in there. But yeah, the one thing I'd say again is about the old Dreamcast. I've not sort of done lots of research on a Dreamcast, and I actually quite like personal recommendations. If anybody out there thinks, oh, you know what, I think Kev will like that, because I've done a few videos now, people might get a gist of what sort of game I like. So yeah, if you can recommend a Dreamcast game, as long as it's not sort of ultra rare. But yeah, I'll always check out a game, so let me know. But there'll be more videos coming soon. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and I'll be back soon. Take care of yourself.